I definitely had an aha moment. It was about a week, I think, before I was supposed to start studying at medical school. And I was reading a book, a popular book about evolution. And I suddenly thought to myself that it's amazing being a medical doctor because you can help so many people individually as people, and you can get to interact with so many people. But that as a scientist, I could really uncover the basic principles that guide life. And if I could do that well, then the impact of that would be so tremendous and so beautiful that I couldn't imagine myself not doing that.
It seems to me that my aha moment lasted for somewhat longer, and I believe it happened when I was in 8th grade. I had an excellent science teacher, and very often I would ask her all sorts of questions afterwards in the break, and we would continue on talking. At one point, one day, I came to her, and after we asked some questions, she said in the end, you know, you might be interested in this book. So she gave me this booklet, and it's a booklet of lectures. The name of the book was Introduction to Elementary Particles. And I took it home, and I came to her the day after, and I told her, okay, I need more. It was just an amazing, captivating book about, you know, me looking at nature around me and really understanding what is really there that I can't ever be able to see, but really governs.
Just I come from a family of physicians. I joined med school, and when you read these medical textbooks, you always describe the symptoms and things, and there's also side box always like basic principles or basic science of the disease. And during rounds, I always brought up questions about the basic science part. And at the end of the rotation, the head of the department pulled me aside and he said, I don't know what to do with you. You're such a geek. I think you should find a lab, do rotations, and just see how it is. And I'll overlook that you're not showing up and see how it goes. And it went on from there.
I was thinking about this question because the Weizmann Institute have this collaboration together with the TV channel in Israel. Basically, did something for school children between the third, like in elementary school, where they would try to come up with inventions. So it was like an invention idol, if you like. The final level was we had children coming from all over the country to the Weizmann Institute. Everything was filmed, and they would present the different projects. I told myself, I'll try to be, to take part of it and be the natural me, and hopefully that's in some way to get into the hearts of some of the children in terms of showing them how interesting and fun and stimulating being in these things could be, and that it's not less important than those other things that they get so much exposure to.
I think it's actually one of the things that I love most about the Weizmann Institute is that it's not just about doing really good science, it's also about spreading the knowledge to people, allowing them to take part in that knowledge and really training the next generation to be accessible to that knowledge and to know scientists. And there's so many programs at the Weizmann Institute that mediate that. For example, next month, on the 1st of October, we have an open day where the Weizmann Institute opens its gates and all children can come and walk through the labs and get explanations and see how we work. And these are things that I think are really shaping the way that young children see scientists. One of the beautiful things that I've started being involved in now is a program that basically takes scientists and brings them into high schools, usually in cities that are on the outskirts of the major cities. It's such an amazing experience to talk to these kids. They've never been exposed to scientists before. They don't know who they are, and suddenly they can ask us any questions that they want, and they can start getting a feel as to what that means. I think for me, the difference between being curious and being a curious scientist is that I am not as much interested in the answer as in the path that is taking me there. Because what I really love about my work is that every single day, in order to answer the questions that I'm interested in, I have to come up with completely new ideas and face completely new challenges. And there's not a single day where I can satisfy that curiosity in the same way. It's really not the amount of hours that you spend in the lab, but it's the creativity. And that creativity happens when you're happy, when you experience new things. When I was walking in the MoMA and seeing this amazing Pollock and just standing in front of it, and things come together for you. And in order to do that, you have to have the richest life you can have outside of the lab. I love doing so many things. I love scuba diving, hiking. I love cooking, as you've heard, playing music. I play the piano, I sing. I love to do anything that involves my children. When I come into the lab, I'm completely focused on what I do inside the lab. I just invest all that time in making my science move forward, but it would never move forward without having a very full life.
What really impressed me most was that from the scientist up to the dean, up to the president, how much they're interested in many different topics and how intimate the relationships between the different groups. They really support you to go after the big questions and give you the backing and advice also on how to conduct that. I think that culture is very unique.
You would find people that are as good as anywhere you would find around the world, being at the Weizmann campus, sitting just next to you, meeting you for lunch, spending some time on the lawn together. And this, in order to accomplish the kind of interaction and collaborative efforts that we're trying to do, is just a tremendous thing to have. It was also important to me that whatever things I'll be able to discoveries or to further in what we understand about nature, I preferred to be in the place I grew up and that my forefathers worked very hard for in Israel.
In the year that I've been at the Weizmann Institute, I've just become the biggest fan ever. So if I'd have to tell you all the reasons that I think the Weizmann Institute is great, you might have to stay for dinner or something like that. But I'll tell you one reason. It is the only research institute in Israel. And that makes the most amazing difference for the researchers, because the entire way that it is built is to enable us to focus on our research, to enable us to waste as little time as possible on bureaucracy, on money, on doing things that are irrelevant to our science, and just really letting us have the peace and quiet to explore, to think, to be creative. And it affects our lives in so many ways. And I'll give you just one example. You finish your postdoc and you come and you have to start setting up a lab. And the reality is you kind of flunk for about a year. And so we came up to the university and we said, you know what, actually, we don't want to waste a year of our life figuring out for ourselves how to do this. And within a week, this research institute set up a course for us on lab management skills, on human interaction skills, how to give positive feedback to your students, how to help students through crises. And they will be affected by this one thing that was enabled by this openness, by this willingness to support science in any way. And that's just, to me, the spirit of the Weizmann Institute, the uniqueness of the Weizmann Institute, and something that I want to never forget.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. I thought this was an interesting conversation. I hope you get an insight into 3 of 250 scientists at the Institute, which means there are 247 more for you all to meet and to get to know. And believe me, based on my 30-year sample, each one is as interesting in his or her own way. Thank you, all of you.